Hey guys, welcome to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. I'm Devon.
And I'm Joe.
And this is a show where we talk about all things Taylor Swift.
That's right. This is the show where two friends finally get to let their dedication to our Lord and Savior, Taylor Swift, fly.
We'll be discussing everything from Taylor news, song breakdowns, and our insane fan theories.
All right, mild thing. Not a fan theory of Taylor's, but what did you send me this morning?
Okay, so I went down a rabbit hole this morning, and I included Joe because I knew he was interested. I was, doing my silly little things at my job, and when I was on break, I was looking at my silly little phone with my silly little TikToks, and this TikTok came up, and it was a conspiracy theory about melodrama, and I'm like, ooh, Lorde content, okay. And it was how melodrama is about an affair that Lorde had with Jack Antonoff while Lena Dunham was away, like while they were recording the album. And I'm like, there's no way. She's confirmed what melodrama is about. And then I looked into it.
Why would she confirm that it's about an affair that she had?
Exactly. She wouldn't. And so I scroll down this PowerPoint. I end up sending it to Joe, and I'm like, it makes so much sense. And I hate it.
It makes so much sense that, like, I didn't feel like I was reading hearsay. I felt like I was just like, yeah, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm. Like it was a detailed timeline.
I'm not gonna lie. I listened to melodrama today. I listened to Lorde a lot today. I've been on a Homemade Dynamite kick. I really like that song. The remix is really getting me too. And I feel some type of way about it now. That isn't great.
All the songs, I mean, even Green Light and Sober, they all have these contexts that when you think about it, it makes sense. And
not even the songs, just Lorde, about Lorde.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's difficult because, like, I don't think it painted her as the hero in this story. I don't think she was 100% the villain. I think Jack Antonoff, as I've been told by many people that I know, is the villain. But I don't think she's like the innocent victim either.
No, I don't think so.
This is going on a rabbit hole. We could just scrap this whole episode and talk about it here. But it is appropriate for this episode because we are talking about illicit affairs.
Connection.
Look at that segue. Look at that segue.
So on this typical Thursday, we'll be breaking down Illicit Affairs, track 10 off of Folklore.
That's right. We get a Thursday episode. It's been a while since we had a Thursday.
Mm-hmm. We've been taking a little break, little current events break.
Oh, yeah.
So some quick facts about the song. Let's go over them. It was featured in the Sleepless Nights chapter. It debuted. Just that one.
Okay.
Which, I mean, makes sense for Sleepless Nights. Hey.
In more ways than one.
It debuted at number 44 on the Billboard Hot 100 during that week, August 8th. Rolling Stones wrote an article about it on July 24th saying, the godforsaken mess of Taylor Swift's illicit affairs. It's a short little blurb about it. And then let's go into our rankings. So as of episode 25, what was your ranking of the song?
No, this song just kept going higher and higher. It is one of my favorites on this album. It is a solid 3 for me.
High.
I think it stayed at 4 for a majority of it, but I think it usurped August. I think is the jump that it made, and it became number 3. And I forget what my other ones are. I forget. It's like Peace was number 1, and then I forget what number 2 even was. Oh no!
No idea.
Oh no!
It's been a bit.
What was yours?
Mine was 5, which I think is appropriate. I think in the top 5, somewhere up there.
I like this, especially in the beginning of the episode, because like it lets the audience know what kind of episode this is going to be. Because when I rank it higher, they know that I won't shut up about the song. And when Devon ranks it higher, they know that I'm going to be very quiet and Devon's going to go off because of how much she loves it. And honestly, how much I generally don't like it.
It's going to be, all right, who's talking the majority of the episode?
I've been hyped for this one. This is, like I said, this has been a song like from the beginning. It was like a sleeper song for me, but like not even like a sleeper as like it was really low ranked. Like it was always ranked high for me, but like I could never put it in the echelon of Betty or like as like a single level song, if you will.
Yeah,
Cardigan might have been two for me.
I think so.
But I could never put it above those. There was just some like ceiling there that I like randomly put on this song. But it's hard because like it's not like this song I think is one of the best songs on this album, lyrically, what it says in so little words, because I think I wanted to do more research on it, but I think this song has the least amount of lines and like actual lyrics out of the entire album, which I think is nuts considering how much we feel like we get out of it. Like, I don't know, you can correct me, but there are a lot of tiny details in this song, and like little metaphors that like she says in one quick line, but like there are a million implications from each of those lines that are insane. So like the fact that from a lyrical standpoint, I think this song is up there with Peace as one of her best songs, but it's also crazy to me because Peace is a very there are a lot of lyrics in Peace. It's a very long written out song, and Illicit Affairs is not. Like Illicit Affairs is 3 choruses and 2 verses.
Yeah.
And they're all very short verses and repeating a lot of the same words and stuff, but somehow it still says the same amount, if not more than Peace, I think, if you really read between the lines.
Yeah, the song isn't that long. I mean, I think it's like 3 minutes and 20 seconds or 10 seconds. Yeah. But it feels very short.
Definitely. And that's because there's just not a lot of lyrics in it. Like, yeah, there's just not a lot.
And if they are, they're kind of repeated like in the chorus. It's just different for like words here and there, but it's, you know, the same amount of lines.
But like I said, you get so much out of those small amount of lines because there's bathed in metaphor, and like the implications of them are so big, and you can like they really let your mind wander about the situation that they're talking about. I like it. I think it's really awesome.
Yeah, very intentional.
One thing I want to note real quick before we go forward for the viewers on YouTube that are wondering what the heck is happening with my video, I found a sepia filter. I really wanted to embody folklore, so I put that in.
I couldn't figure out how to do it, so you're just seeing me in color.
And you see Joe in sepia. Yay.
Yes. So, some context around the song. In a November piece for Rolling Stone, Taylor described the song as, "When I was making folklore, I went lyrically in a total direction of escapism and romanticism, and I wrote songs imagining I was like a pioneer woman in a forbidden love affair." So, forbidden love affair is pioneer woman. Yeehaw.
Is forbidden necessary there? Because like, what love affairs are like not forbidden?
I mean, I guess when you're a pioneer woman, sometimes you can't, I don't know, be in an affair.
She has been like crazy with Rolling Stone lately. Like, I don't know if she signed a contract or something, but like, I feel like girl is killing it with all the Rolling Stone content she's putting out.
Yeah.
But I mean, this little blurb perfectly describes this song. Like, and it's cool to see that like she does put herself, though I will say I don't envision this song taking place in pioneer times.
I don't think so either.
So like for me it feels like she's missing like a sentence in there. Like it should say a pioneer woman or
or anything else.
Love affair. Or a woman in a forbidden love affair. Like I feel like pioneer woman probably ties to Last Great American Dynasty more.
Yeah.
And this ties to because like
unless they're all tied together.
That's true, and we discussed that at length. But I think like for me, this song, maybe it's in its relative position to August. I think of this happening in high school, in like near a mall or something like that. Like it just, that's where I get out of this song. I do not get a pioneer. at all.
Who knows? So let us go into some of the lyrics that jumped out to us. So the
Oh boy.
first one that I picked out was just right off the bat. I think it's the second line. Tell your friends you're out for a run. You'll be flushed when you return. Just right off the bat. Just this
The
isn't
implications.
the implications of this song. It's not for
Like I
kids.
said, this is the first line. Like when we were doing our live reaction to it when that first came out, we like both looked at each other like, "Oh my gosh, is that really like? Is
Yeah,
that
did she just
so
say that?
overt?" Like, but like again, like I said, like with the metaphor and stuff here, like she says this in 15 words, if my math is correct, 15, 16 words, but like you can get a full paragraph out of that line. Like you can surmise a whole story and a whole situation out of just those two lines of this song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why like the thing I love about the song is it says so much by saying so little. And I'm going to repeat that throughout the rest of this episode, so maybe get used to it.
Well, saying so much or saying a lot while saying so little. Let's go into this next line because you wrote 3 paragraphs about it. About these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words.
Yeah, so the next line is actually really interesting to me. I did some like deep dive on it to like learn a little bit more. And I found a lot out about it. So the next line the lyric that I pointed out was take the road less traveled by, which again, another innocuous lyric, but it is a direct reference to the famous poem by Robert Frost. The poem goes, two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. One of the probably the most famous quick poems ever. You see, I know there's a brewery up in Connecticut that has this poem as like their opener because they're Two Roads Brewing, and like they built their whole thing off of it. Like it's a very famous poem. But one thing I think that's really interesting to really dive into my English major background, the ending, like people always think when they hear this poem that like it's a positive thing. Like he took the road that no one really went down, the path less traveled, and that was the right decision that he did that. As it says, it made all the difference. But it's not. Like it doesn't specifically say that choice was good. It just says that choice made the difference. And a lot of choices you can make a huge difference in your life for the better or for the worse. And an affair is definitely a choice. And it is like when you have that, especially like a deep one, like the one that she's describing here, where like you let yourself get emotionally connected and invested in it, like you're not going to forget that. It's going to be a red spot on your memory for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to remember the feelings you had. You're going to remember all of the feelings, the good, the bad, everything. And it's going to be something that stands out to you. It's a choice you made. You took this road, and that made all the difference. Another thing that's interesting too is it could also work another way. She took the road less traveled by because there aren't that many people there, so she can sneak around and meet up with her lover. But another really cool thing is this is actually the second time Taylor references this poem in her work. The first being The Outside on her self-titled poem or self-titled album, where she says, I tried to take the road less traveled by. And The Outside is a song about loneliness written when she was 12. A song, she says, it was about how she didn't fit in or belong. And then I say, I mean, like, that's kind of like a mistress in a relationship. You really don't feel like you belong or fit in, but not at 12. Not at 12.
She was really
12-year-olds.
feeling these things when she was 12.
Hopefully, I don't think she wrote that song with this whole message in mind, but I think it's an interesting that the themes of that song can be extrapolated and put into this song in another way, which I think is interesting.
Definitely. And then you wrote about this next line too.
I pulled out a lot of lines in here because, like I said, this song, I'm obsessed with the lyrics of it, and I don't think it's enough to do a full between the lines, but it is enough for me to talk a lot. So another thing, pulling out my English major, when I took a class in college called Satire and Sensibility, I learned about this line, but it dies and it dies and it dies a million little times. In French literature, quote unquote little death refers to an orgasm. Neat.
Mm. Neat.
It's interesting, and I love Taylor like doing stuff like this. Like I
Mhm.
like that, like she she has turned from like treacherous, where she made some euphemisms, but they were so danced
Subtle.
around and subtle, and like now they're more overt, but they're still subtle. Like you get your face will be flushed. It dies a million little deaths.
She's still being subtle about it,
She's
but in
still
a
being
less
subtle,
subtle way.
but we
Hmm.
know. And like the other thing with Taylor too is the thing that I love about her as a writer, because I'm the same way as a writer. You know that if she put the time to make this lyric, it dies, it dies, it dies a million little times. She didn't just go, I like the way that sounds. No,
Hmm.
she is referring to what we think she's referring to, almost guaranteed.
Little Miss
Like
English major.
yeah, no, she loves putting these little, like we said before, Easter eggs and stuff, and she is the kind of person who will soak everything up and like just try to fit it into places.
Hmm.
um and that's one of the things I love about her music, is it's very fun to like pull this stuff out of. But you actually had the next line.
Yes. So the word that I love is just that's the thing about illicit affairs and clandestine meetings. Just why are you gonna pull that word out? I think in the Rolling Stones interview she had, which we'll talk about later, she talks about how she loves putting in these words and she's been reading a lot, and so words like clandestine come out of nowhere, and you're like, why would you pick that word? But for those who don't know, it means kept secret or done secretly. So these secret meetings about
she
illicit affairs.
she broke out the dictionary for this one.
She made us break out the dictionary. She made the Google search for clandestine meaning. It's like, what does it
I also
mean?
I also love, like, in clandestine, like there's also like that little the suffix there for destin.
Mm.
Like I love how, like, one of the things I can think of is in another Rolling Stone article, she was talking about how she liked certain words for certain things, and I feel like the fact that like kept secret or done secretly, but I like that it also has the word destiny in it in a
Mm.
way. Like it just like adds a layer that like maybe the word isn't meant to mean, but it still like evokes that response. And in an affair, or this mistress in this affair could think like, no, this is destiny. I'm meant to meet this person and we're gonna be together,
Yeah.
but we have to keep it secret or something.
And she's
um
very intentional. It's like she could have just said and secret meetings and stolen stairs, but she chose clandestine for the syllables, for the
mhm.
meaning behind it. It's all very intentional with her.
Yeah, no, and like I said, it's amazing she can fit words that have like these clunky sounds, like clandestine. There are a lot of like hard sounds in that word, that like to be able to fit that into a song and still make it sound pretty. Somehow she's able to do it, which is insane. And she does it again in the next line that I picked out. I don't think this is the direct next line,
Hmm.
but dwindling mercurial high. I think you actually put this line on here. Did you?
Probably.
Yeah, because I mean, we wouldn't stop talking about mercurial because we thought it was so funny. Um, but I actually did a little bit of research into this word because it's such an interesting word to have used in this. Like we said, like she broke out the dictionary, but she didn't just use it for one thing. And again, like I said earlier, she's saying so much by saying so little. This is a
Hmm.
3-word line here. So what does mercurial mean? It means subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind. It also means of or containing the element mercury. So just curious, because obviously mercurial, you think of like of or containing mercury. You don't really think of that first definition, even though it's the primary one. But I looked into mercury poisoning, which I looked up the pronunciation, but I already forget what it was. So excuse me if I mispronunciate this. Um, erethism is or also known as Mad Hatter disease, is a disorder from that you affecting the central nervous system from mercury poisoning. One of the things that I noticed in the background, Mad Hatter disease already has a song about Wonderland, which I think is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A little blurb about the disease that I think is really cool, just a fun anecdote. The disease was especially susceptible in England among felt hat makers, as they were consistently exposed to mercury vapors, which led to the phrase "mad as a hatter." But another thing that I thought was really interesting is I looked up erethism because I was like, all right, what does this word mean? Like I just kind of fell down another rabbit hole, like the thing you sent me this morning. We're just going in rabbit holes today. But another definition of erethism is excessive sensitivity or rapid reaction to a stimulation of a part of the body, especially the sexual organs. I'm not saying Taylor went that far with it, but like
she could have.
Faye went that far with it. And like I said, like, again, it's so cool to see like all of these words and all of these, like, I feel like Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just like with the yarn, just like it's all connected. But like it's so cool to see like just like the levels and the layers that this song really builds. Like I said, Dwindling Mercurial High has connections to so many parts of an affair, from sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind, when you're just like, you don't know what's going on, you're freaking out about it, you want this person, you don't want this person, freaking out about that, to a disorder for your central nervous system, like a disorder, like you're feeling sick from doing this, to then also erethism is another thing of like sex, like it's just like a sensitivity and rapid reaction to stimulation, like
It's just all connected.
It's all connected is what I'm trying to say. It's gosh, losing my mind on this song, I'm telling you. And we're not even at the bridge yet. So I'm just gonna keep this train going real fast while we got it. So my next one, a couple of things that I wanted to point out. A drug that only worked the first few hundred times. One thing that I think is interesting in this song is she is dealing with a lot of extremely high numbers in this song. 1,000,000 little times, first few hundred times. There, for me, that's something interesting about that, in that it kind of is like an unattainable thing. Like you can't really think of doing something 1,000,000 little times or anything like that. So it kind of gives it this air of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Dramatic.
Like extremely, this air of dramaticism that like really embellishes the song. But it's also cool to note she references drugs and love a couple of other times. Gave Up on Me Like I Was a Bad Drug, Death by 1,000 Cuts, which is also a song with another large number, obviously, but Death by 1,000 Cuts kind of alludes to this whole situation here. And then the coolest one is probably from Don't Blame Me, is My Drug Is My Baby, I Be Using for the Rest of My Life. Taylor Swift really loves to equate love to drugs. And I think it's interesting in those instances, it's not in the same thing of like an affair is a different kind of drug than actual love is, but it still has a piece of love, the love drug in it.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. So we also have the entire bridge, and I don't think we didn't write
anything
about it. We just wrote
entire bridge. So before we go into the second part, I'll just do just the word, don't call me kid, don't call me baby. And she says, and you want to scream, but she doesn't scream. She sings it very, normal, and you want to scream, don't call me kid, don't call me baby. Just that line itself. It's like you want to scream it at this person. You're like, I'm not a kid, I'm not a child. Like, don't treat me like one. You know what you did to me. Which is then in the next line, look at this godforsaken mess that you made me. Look at this idiotic fool that you made me. Just these words are so impactful. Godforsaken, idiotic.
That's the thing that's nuts about this song. Like I said, like this song is one of those, she picked deliberately the words when I was in a creative writing class, we did writing called flash fiction, and the whole gist of it is you're trying to cut as many excess words and boil it down to the bare essentials of the story you're telling.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to a point where every single word that you put on that page is an impactful word, it is a meaningful word, and it is a word that you thought about and you ached over. And you can tell this song was written in that exact mode. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor came out and said, "Yeah, like I accidentally just like wrote this song one day. Like I just like threw it on the computer," because she's just that talented.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it doesn't feel that way, and
No.
it feels like every single, like every word, especially down to the point where she says, "But it dies, and it dies." Like she goes, "Well, how many times do I have to say it? But I need to give it the it dies, and make you feel like it's repeating, and then follow it with a million little times to give you that, like, it just keeps going. It just keeps going."
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I think she did exactly that. I remember in the article, the Rolling Stones one, she was talking about how um Aaron Dessner and whoever else were in the studio with her, and they were like, "Oh, can you like cut back, like, this word, like the syllables aren't right, like can you cut back on it?" And she said, "I would, go to the corner, and I was really challenged, and it was, exciting trying to figure out how to, adjust and really whittle down these lyrics." So she did it very intentionally.
it's so cool, and it's like a sponge, where like a sponge, it has the same mass regardless of whether it's full of water or not. But these are full sponges, and you press on that word, and just all of the water comes out, like all of that meaning and all of that
Mm-hmm.
deep entendre and everything. Like this full story comes out of 3 words or a quick couplet or something. Like it's so cool.
Yeah.
So then the my favorite part probably of the whole bridge just comes after the you showed me a color, you showed me colors, I can't see with anyone else, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because Devon likes to torture me and didn't write the actual lyrics down because she is some kind of savant and just knows all of the lyrics off the top of her head, and I'm stupid. You show me colors I can't see with anyone else, and you taught me a secret language I can't speak with anyone else.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
oh.
it's fantastic, the imagery that provides, like I have this separate world with this person. We were off doing our own thing, our own language, our own colors. It was so special to them that there was this whole universe created around it, and you're basically ripping it out of from under them.
What order does it go in? Is it colors first and then language?
Yep.
Okay. I personally, the one thing I think it's more impactful to go um language first and then colors. And the reason I think that is, number one, I feel like when you become close friends with someone, like really close, not, it doesn't have to be in a relationship, but like friends, or especially in a relationship, you do get that shorthand with each other. You
Mm-hmm.
do get that very, like, you develop your own secret language. Your mannerisms become their mannerisms, and vice versa. And you really do become, that's where the phrase "the other half" comes from. But I think that's like a bottom of the line. Like everyone knows about that feeling. Everyone's had that feeling. But to say like, "You showed me colors I can't see without you," I feel like there's just something so much deeper
Mm-hmm.
there than just and like a quick thing with someone. Like I have best friends that we have a shorthand with, and like inside jokes and like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I don't have anyone in my life that I would say, "You showed me colors I can't see with anyone else." Like, to me, that's just like a layer of intimacy, and just, ah,
I don't even know if it's about necessarily colors. I think it's just the abstract concept of, you can't create a color in your head. There's no possible way that you can create this image in your head. So by having this person in your life, it's bringing the abstract to life, and you are showing me these things that I would never know about.
that's what I definitely don't think it's literal,
Well, yeah.
literal. But like, I think that line is more impactful than the
Hmm.
other one, and I think in a I'm telling Taylor Swift how to write a song right now. Is what I'm mansplaining songwriting to the best songwriter of this generation.
Oh, don't do it.
But I personally, I think it has the more impactful line should come second. But that's just on me. To me, that line is more impactful. To someone else, the language line could be much more impactful to them. So I mean, either way, I don't think she's wrong.
Okay.
But that bridge.
And then it all accumulates to the end where you have all these deep, impactful lines, and then it just snaps back to, and you know damn well I would ruin myself a million little times.
I just imagine, like, when I'm listening to this song, I hear it feels like that's when she, like, the narrator, like, turns and looks up to the person she's talking to, and she just says that directly to him. And I love that it feels like it ends on an ellipsis. Like, it ends with a million little times. And then it just, like, kind of keeps going, and you just, like, you're kind of left hanging there.
And I also like the fact when the way I mean, we can get into it with the actual music behind it, but when she says, and you know damn well, it's the instrumentation and just the way she delivers it, like dun dun. It just makes me feel like she's kind of like shrugging her shoulders. It's like, you know, like you're knocking her down.
It's exactly like what you said earlier. Like, you want to scream, but you know what? She's exasperated from the whole situation, and that's her last thing. Is just, you know damn well, for you I would ruin myself a million little times. And I actually think, like, I love the way that she says it too. Like, that middle line, the "for you I would ruin myself." I would ruin myself for you. No, I like the flip of it, and I like the way she says it. And there's just something in there that's so nuts to me, of just like, there's so many implications from this ending line, again, of like, I would ruin myself for you.
And it's the
like,
emphasis on ruin.
Yeah, ruin. And like, there's a lot of people in time that, like, you might feel that with someone. Like, you might feel, God, like, I love you so much, I would do anything for you, I would ruin myself for you. But I love the beginning of it too, where, like, there's that whole thing of, he knows that she would do that. And like, there's another implication on top of that he's manipulating her to get her to do things. He's intentionally getting her to ruin her life or make bad decisions or make bad choices. He's playing on her. He's like, all of this stuff that, like, makes me think this song was written about Lord and Jack Antonoff.
I was literally thinking that. I'm like, oh. And we'll get into that in a second. So this song, this wonderful song, was co-written and produced by, who, you guessed it, Jack Antonoff. And if you listen to the banter at the beginning of the episode, oh my, does that make sense?
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh,
yowza.
Jeez. Yeah. So pretty much self-explanatory with the lyrics. And we talked about the lyrics. Let's talk about the production, where Jack Antonoff shines like the beautiful little butterfly he is. So
I don't think we can call him that anymore.
I know.
Like, the person he is, he does well at the one thing he's good at. I'm not bitter. I've been looking for a reason to not like Jack Antonoff.
You have, and I like him. But this makes me question it.
I think he is an extremely talented individual. As a human being, I do not like him.
Because you know him personally.
Because I know him personally. No, I mean, there's a lot of people I don't know personally that I don't like. We don't have the time to go through that.
Oh, jeez. All right. So
tell me about this song.
Yes, it has a runtime of 3 minutes and 10 seconds. It's in B flat major, 120 BPM, so a little bit shorter than the last song.
This song is in 120 BPM.
Mm-hmm.
It's so.
And you wanna scream, "Don't call me kid." Da, 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 da. Well,
I think, like, at the end you get like the trills that are going on,
the steel guitar. So let's get into the instrumentation. So we have keyboard, programmed drums, this pedal steel guitar, which is so prominent throughout the song. We have an electric guitar, background vocals with Evan Smith, and our background vocals, of course. A saxophone, an accordion, which I thought was very interesting, percussion and bass. So
Okay.
Evan Smith, for those who don't know, is a member of Bleachers. I was curious to see who he was because I haven't seen him on other songs that I've noticed, because it's really just, it's Jack, Evan Smith, and this guy, X Reyes, I want to say is his last name. And
Charlie
he does,
XCX?
no, I wish. Oh, collab of the century if that happened. What were you going to say?
So I have a couple of questions about this instrument thing that I would like to learn. What is the difference between programmed drums and regular drums?
Great question. So if you are on some kind of editing software, let's say it's Logic or Pro Tools or whatever audio program you're using, program drums are in the program themselves. You can like play it on a MIDI keyboard or on some kind of drum programmer. It's just programmed into the computer. So it has that sound to it. It's not going to sound as, I guess, real as if you just had percussion that you mic'd up and then recorded that way. You can manipulate both. Like you can manipulate real percussion to sound more programmed. You can take programmed and kind of echo it out and make it spacey and make it sound like a real piece of percussion, but that's the main difference.
I remember reading somewhere that like drummers would say that you can't get the real feel of drum, and like the actual human ear feels weird because in an actual human drumming there are inconsistencies and it's not a perfect 4/4 beat every time.
Yeah.
So like and the human ear can like sense that there's something weird about it. My next question is I have two more questions about instruments. Okay. What is a pedal steel guitar?
So the pedal steel guitar, if you listen in the song, that's kind of, it sounds metallic, if that makes any sense. Like you hear the string slapping, like probably the lower notes will make it more sense, but you hear it and it has just this like metally steel sound to it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
My next question is going to be, where in the song is the accordion?
So that was the same question that I had. And okay. Yeah, so this pedal steel guitar, it's
pedal steel. Oh, wait.
A pedal steel guitar isn't an actual guitar. It's like,
it's the one you play like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had that on Ed, Ed and Eddie. That's how I know what the Double D plays a pedal steel guitar.
That is the most obscure reference I've ever heard someone mention. Yeah, so the accordion, I'll just jump to that really quick because I didn't really hear the accordion and you don't hear the sax. And on this album, everything is just so subtle. It has to be these long drawn out notes, the ones that you just kind of hear like it has to be those background, like it has to be, you know, Taylor's not over here like dun, 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 like playing the accordion like that.
It's not Weird Al in it.
But there's someone definitely, I forget if it's Evan Smith or whoever, but someone's just holding the accordion and just slowly pulling it. Just ever so slowly for all like 16 beats and then like slowly back. It's so subtle. And I love that about it. It creates this atmosphere that you wouldn't know it's an accordion, but you can say, hey, put accordion on that track. So I love, there's these little oohs, the ooh, that are just repeated throughout the song. It's very echoey. It fills that space. This whole album, very spacey. She harmonizes with herself at parts. In the second verse where she goes, and that's the thing about illicit affairs, she kind of doubles up on her vocals. And the bridge is also where other background vocals come in. And the actual, just, I guess, it is the intensity, but I guess the dynamics of the song. I love that after Dwindling Mercurial High, or during it basically, it just like kind of starts to boil up and you feel all these intense emotions, like this mercurial high of sorts. And then it goes back down for the chorus. That's the thing about illicit affairs, XYZ. And then The bridge. Oh my, the bridge. Just the ramp up to it. It dies a million little times. And then you just feel it start to swell and you're like, what's coming? Oh my God, you're going to gear up for it in the car when you're going to belt it. And you just hear these layered background vocals from Taylor, from Evan, from Jack. Those are the boys are a little more dimmed, but you just hear this just like these screams basically, and it's and not screams, but it's just like these nice flying notes, and it's just so intense and it's so layered. Like I would love to see the actual like track, all the tracks laid out. I forget what it's called because I'm not good at programming. But just to see all of them broken down, like how many harmonies are there and how many different little instrumentation things that we don't even notice are there. I think the sax is a little bit more prominent in the bridge. I feel like you can hear it more, the not like that, that's Jaws, but like, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's just, I'll say it again, so intense. There's so many different nuances in there that I think are beautiful. You hear the it's during the you taught me a secret language and you showed me colors that you can kind of hear Jack and Evan in the background, but it's very subtle. Like you really, you got to be like, oh yeah, that's kind of a male's voice, but she's harmonizing with herself a lot. She's not screaming.
No.
This whole song is so calm.
Is this? I
And
assume this is her head voice, like for the entire.
um
It sounds. She doesn't sound like she's
during
belting anything.
no, I would say I don't think it's her head voice. I mean, it's pretty much her chest voice for some parts, but when she goes into the higher register, it is her head voice. Like
Oh yeah.
she's singing in this alto range. Like she's not stressing her voice at all. Like it just sounds very natural to her. But when you hear those like in the background, like all those background little things, that's all her head voice. That's not her like belting these songs. And I think that's appropriate because you want to scream, but you're not. You're just doing these soft little things. And, you know, we talked about this 5 minutes ago, but just for everything to just shut back down and just, you know, the dynamics just go from this high, there's so many things going on. If you're listening in your headphones, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so intense and you want to scream, and then just right back down. And you know damn well it's still kind of there, it's still rumbling. A million little times after that, it just very simple steel guitar exit, and then you're kind of left on the single strum, and it just reverberates into the end of the song. It's beautiful. Love it.
It makes me think like all this stuff is happening in her head, and like she's having this conversation with herself and how she wants it to go in her head, and that's where you get the bridge, and the bridge is her just like blowing up in her head, but she's not saying anything. She's just in the moment, and then it all comes down, and like you get, for me, I get that visual of like this is like her thought bubble, and then her thought bubble just like starts snapping and seeding, and it goes right back into her head, and just that's when we get the back to normal. And you know, damn, and that's when she says it to him.
She just sounds so defeated. It's like such a sad defeat in her voice, and you know damn well, for you, I would ruin myself a million little times. It's just the delivery, the cadence, just the smallness you feel in her voice. Like you just feel small listening to that. You can't control it. You know damn well that she's just gonna ruin herself over you. This is about Laura changed my mind.
Well, I mean, the one thing I will say to change your mind is that that theory was not very friendly to Taylor Swift.
No, that person did not like Taylor Swift. I think you can still make the same argument while liking Taylor Swift.
I think so too. Oh, definitely. I think it's true, but I still like Taylor Swift, as you can tell by the everything about me.
By the podcast.
The podcast that I do on a weekly and sometimes bi-weekly basis. So do you have any closing statements about this song? God, it's so good. It's so good.
It's still up there, top 5. It's just such a great song. I'm mad I didn't like it as much as I did sooner. Like I always thought it was a good song, but it wasn't in my top 5, I think, for a little bit.
That's why I said it. It's such a sneaky song because
Mm-hmm.
like it is just an amazing song, but you never really think about it. Like you almost take it for granted.
Well, you
Granted.
probably take it at face value. It's a song,
Yeah.
illicit affairs. Oh, you know it's about an affair. Okay, cool. But then you start to delve deeper into these little things about it, and it just makes it 10 times better.
That's what I say. Like every time I do one of these song breakdowns, I feel like whatever song we just did, even if I hate it, it goes up, it shoots up in spots because I just get so high on this
Hmm.
one song. But like it's so cool to break them down and really pull out all of the meat that's in them and see and just like really see more about them. And I think this song might be, to keep going on that terrible metaphor, the meatiest of them all. Like it's just there's so much in there, and like I said, it's packed in such a small package, like homemade dynamite contains such a big boom. Like home record dynamite. Anyway, if you like what you hear, please be sure to give us a review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. If you have a friend that is a Swift fan, tell them about us. The best way for this podcast to grow and continue to garner audiences, you guys telling your friends. So let them know and guide them right to us.
And make sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to see our beautiful faces and filters and backgrounds, etc. Please do. I put effort into, actually don't put effort into how I look. I just come from work and it works out that way. But make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're most active on Instagram, so you'll get a reaction out of us there. It's at We Need to Calm Down Podcast. On Twitter, it's at WNTCD Podcast.
Aside from that, if you have a suggestion for an episode, definitely drop us a comment or a DM on Instagram. We love hearing from you guys. We've made episodes in the past based on things you wanted to hear, and it's not going to be the last time we do it. So definitely share your ideas. We'd love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. Aside from that, thank you for listening to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. We will see you next typical Tuesday. Come back.
We'll be here.